Rolling?
Rolling.
We're rolling.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
What did we just do?
Well, just finished transferring all of the mixes to the Studer tape machine, which I think is going to sound pretty great. And it feels great to listen to them all in order like that. It's pretty
fantastic.
rad. Pretty rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been, when did you start working on all this?
I mean, the last song we just transferred, You've Gotta Be Patient, I started that in Toronto in February of 2020.
So, pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
And then the songs that came after that? What came
Um,
after that? Friends in the USA?
I think
Friends in the USA.
it's the collab between two songs.
The medley. Friends on the Internet?
Yeah, I think I wrote that one. I think I might have wrote that maybe when I was quarantining for 2 weeks when I first moved back to Manitoba from Toronto.
True.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then came big in the USA and a few of the other ones.
Yeah.
Were you doing a song club at the time?
I was doing a song
Was that
club.
what you were submitting them for?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It like really, I'd written a couple songs that I thought were going to be on the next record. They were like really like quite Americana-y, like very like classic sounding. And then I got into drum machines, and then that really changed kind of the rest of the process for me.
Yeah? Why is
Yeah.
that?
I just started writing to like loops. Instead of, I used to just write with an acoustic guitar, but then I transferred to like, I would hook up, I eventually bought a synthesizer too, and I started running those together so they would talk. And then I'd play a bass line along to it and record that into Pro Tools. And then I would just start writing lyrics and adding other instrumentation on top of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, interesting. And it's interesting that they came out of Song Club being a thing that we do sometimes where like you get a bunch of songwriters together and everyone has to submit a song that they wrote fresh or finished fresh that week. And then if you miss the week or whatever, you're out. So
Yeah.
it's like just basically pressure to just write more. And but I remember too, Lucky. I remember when you wrote that song because you hadn't written anything in a little while, and we were hanging out at my studio, and then
It felt terrible.
you were feeling bad that
Felt
day.
so bad.
And you were like playing around with one of my guitars, the tenor guitar thing, and I was like, well, take this home and write something on it and send it to me by the end of the day. And then you sent me Lucky, and I was like, holy shit, this song rocks. Which was like the song, I'm really stoked on Lucky because to me, when I listen to it now, when I listen to the mixes, it's like, I heard that song and right away I was like, oh, I know exactly what I would do with this. Like, I remember because it didn't have the acoustics in the chorus and it had like, it was
more subdued.
Yeah, it was more
Yeah.
subdued and it had all electronic drums. And then by the end of it, it had real drums.
Instead of electronic drums.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we actually
yeah.
ended up taking we only left the electronic drums in right at the intro.
And like the hi-hats throughout.
And the hi-hats
Yeah.
throughout. But yeah, so it's been really satisfying for me to see that one from day one being like, I know how I want that to sound, now it sounds exactly like that. That's very satisfying.
Yeah, I feel like you knew what that song was before I knew, I think.
Right.
Like I knew that I loved the song and I like,
Right.
you know, the bones of the song were there, but you heard the production farther down the line.
Right, yeah, word. I think it's interesting that you wrote that one and a bunch of the other tunes with that kind of like deadline pressure.
True.
Yeah, do you think that helps?
Yeah, I mean, even as we're talking about that now, I realize I should probably just continue to do that.
Right.
You know,
If you want to write more.
Yeah, once this record's wrapped, I think putting those deadlines on myself is definitely a positive for me.
Yeah, and I wonder another thematic difference between this record and your first record was like some of the songs feel a little more lighthearted. There's still some really serious content and stuff,
sure,
but some of them are more lighthearted, and I wonder if like having a deadline makes you take it a little less seriously or something like that.
Probably. I think I also just got sick of playing sad songs.
True.
Like the amount of times I'd go to go to play a show or like share songs with people that I had just met, like say at like at the coffee house, for example, in Toronto we were playing at for a while.
Right.
I just felt like I'd get up there and like I only had sad songs, and I just got really sick of that. Like tired of hearing myself lament.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. And then like I guess the other major, and it's not really a thematic difference, more of like just a general difference between this one and Pacific Central, is that you played almost every instrument on this, except for drums and a few other very small things. But
drums on one though.
Yeah, that's right. You played drums on the one track. But yeah, I don't know. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was the nature of the situation of being. I don't like calling this a pandemic record because it doesn't feel like that to me, and I don't think it sounds like that.
I mean, what does that sound like? That's weird. My record's a pandemic record too.
No, I mean, like there's like I think there's like a handful of records, probably more, that are like about the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like people have written about their experiences, and like I just never felt inclined to do that.
Right.
But you know, I was just alone a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more, and like not able to travel and record with different people. And also I just feel like every record, I'd never want to do the same thing twice in a way. And the idea of going to a studio and doing, doing like recording most of the songs in a studio, I felt like I'd done that already,
right.
You know? And so this felt like a chance for me. I love engineering so much, so I felt like it was a chance for me to kind of just like throw myself into the fire and like be more responsible for all the things I was recording at home too. Yeah, and I mean, like I wouldn't say I'm like a control freak when it comes to music, but I definitely have an idea of what I want, and so, I was happy to be like very in charge of what the grooves were doing and what the bass was doing.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was gonna ask about, was like whether you like it or not. When you're recording something in that way, you just assume all of the control, basically.
Yeah.
So, and the tale of this record is that the first 4 songs were done and mixed.
Yeah.
And those ones were like entirely from your brain, but then you had another mixer on it, and they had their own production ideas and whatnot. And then you ended up showing me a bunch of other demos, and I was like, well, we should just record these, and then you would have your first full-length album, which is obviously great.
Yeah, it's fun.
But then we ended up remixing everything once we had all of that, which kind of makes sense because we had like more of an idea of the whole project. But then I feel like when we were recording the rest of the songs, I personally tried my best to just like let you have the same process, but just be there.
It felt that way.
Yeah.
Definitely felt that way.
Right.
I should say too that like those first 4 songs too, like Friends on the Internet was the first. That was the first one I actually like. I mean, You've Got to Be Patient, I'd pretty much written and recorded it fully in Toronto, but You've Got to Be Patient, or Friends on the Internet, I had sent it, to Kieran Plasetka, and just because I wanted to share the song with him, and he, without telling me, recorded like 26 tracks of production synth, amazing stuff, and
Classic.
just sent it back to me, and I was like, I think at that moment, like I had synth elements and like some electronic stuff on the songs, but after he did that, it was kind of an awakening, being like, oh, like this is how these songs can feel and sound. And so he played on a bunch of the record, and I mean, like I just absolutely love what he brought to it.
Yeah, there's so many special Kieran moments on the album.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Lots of my favorite keyboard parts. Some real Kris Ulrich fans may note that in Here in My Mind, that cool little keyboard lick that happens about 2 minutes in is actually lifted from an Kris Ulrich Live at Afterlife session.
What song is that from?
From the end of In Spite of Everything during the jam session.
Which I didn't even realize you pointed that out.
Well, yeah,
to me.
because I was the other keyboard player on the session, and then Kieran busts out this insane lick, and I was like, excuse me? And so obviously I remembered it right away. I was like, oh, that's that lick that he used. It actually made me feel a little better that he used it on the record too, because I was like, I feel like all I ever do is recycle stuff. So I'm like, he's only got a few tricks.
It's a damn good trick though, Kieran.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really proud of this. We've made a bunch of records together now, which is kind of cool. I think like 5, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe more. My first album, then Pacific Central.
Yeah.
And then we worked on the Field Guide Coldplay stuff together.
Yeah.
And then my most recent album, and then also this one. So at least 5.
True.
Yeah, and
not counting like other like little.
Not counting all the little stuff here and there, but and Fontine's album.
Yes, Fontine's.
6. Yeah, we'll call it 6. But I feel like this is maybe the best sounding thing I've maybe ever made.
I'm very proud.
I'm
of
pretty
this.
excited, and we both kind of went on gear journeys throughout this whole process.
For sure, yeah.
We expanded our mic lockers pretty significantly.
I should say too, it might seem like maybe it seems kind of like a conundrum. Is that the word? That we're in this studio at No Fun talking about how I made a record at home.
True.
But we really wanted to come here and use this Neve to mix the record.
Yeah.
And so we did all the mixing and all that stuff.
Mostly
and then
here.
Put it on tape.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like the sounds you get at home are awesome, but I eventually started coming here and running stuff through, and I was like, okay, there is definitely some serious mojo that you can achieve running stuff through all this equipment. So we came here and did that.
It's kind of like giving a Chevy Cavalier an amazing paint job.
Absolutely, and a big spoiler.
And a big spoiler.
And like
Ground
those air
effects.
intake vents.
Yeah, it's the same motor underneath though.
True.
Anyways, yeah.
Any audience questions?
I don't know. I mean, I do want to kind of know how you feel about wrapping up the project since you've been working on it for the past year and a half.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you answer to that, can you include the question on your answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can just ask.
Sure.
I'm also wondering what his personal favorite song is on the record.
Okay.
Okay.
How do you feel now that I'd say we're maybe 2 hours away from wrapping this project, having worked on it for a year and a half?
Yeah, my mom asked me that recently, and she asked if I was excited about it or how I was feeling, and it's it's equal parts excitement and dread.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I've become very familiar with and spent untold hours. We were joking today that we've listened to the song 6 times already, in the first 2 hours. And it's I've probably heard these songs probably 1,000 times already.
Oh, for sure. Me also. I mixed them and it took me a long time.
Yeah. And so it's a labor of love, and it's gonna be hard to let it go, but I'm also so excited to share the songs.
Yeah,
So
I'm really excited to
I think
send it
that
around.
makes it I don't know. So I guess I feel absolutely nothing is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
They cancel each other out. Their phase canceled in the middle.
Working on the project is the best part. Finishing it, yes, it's great, and maybe especially great for me, who is not the artist in the room. It's like the end of my workday or whatever. It feels good, but then you have to think of what the fuck am I gonna do now? That's always a hard.
But I think what I feel maybe is different about this record is I can really picture the show. I can picture, I can picture playing these songs and I just can't wait to show people them.
Mm-hmm.
More than I've always been proud of what I've done and tried to always do my absolute best. But this I feel is something that I really can stand behind.
Nice, that's awesome to hear. What's your favorite song?
It kind of changes depending on what mood I'm in.
True. Well, let's say you wake up and you're in a good mood. Today is a good Wednesday. What are you putting on of your own music, because you're weird like that?
I made it because no one else had written these songs yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, Friends on the Internet really gets me. It itches a really specific part in my brain that I really like. But then I also, the outro of Don't Think About It, I'm always excited to hear. So I'd say probably those two.
Nice.
And I'd throw in Lucky there too, because it's an absolute.
All the high energy stuff, eh?
Yeah.
I always gravitate towards the high energy stuff, but I have to say that the end of Things Are Changing for the Better absolutely destroys me every time. I'm so pleased about that.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was also gonna mention that you were talking about playing them live, and for me, when I really decided that I wanted to mix all of the songs was when we were playing Friends on the Internet live, and we got into this cool,
True,
kind of I don't know, more guitar-driven feel, and I was I love this, and I want the record to sound like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel we didn't, as a team working on this, we didn't discover what we were really going for until we played them live.
It's true. It really helped inform it.
Helped to guide that a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Well, I really appreciate you being a part of this, like,
Hey, man.
you know, for so long. I love
My
you the
pleasure.
most.
I love you
and
too.
You're insanely talented, and I'm so happy to work with you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
That was a good interview.
You should kiss now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And
Yeah.
just, yeah, who you are, like what you did, I guess.
Sure.
Want me to do an intro?
Christian.
No, I'm
Kris,
good.
do it?
Yeah. Hey, my name's Kris Ulrich, and sitting here with my good friend Boy Golden, aka Liam Duncan, and we're talking about the process of making my record. Don't think about it, or you'll forget. And yeah, we're gonna talk about the process and our favorite parts and our least favorite parts, and other stuff.
What was your least favorite part?
Probably the weird sound in the tape machine today.
I was
that
gonna say
took
that
us like
earlier
3 hours
today
to source.
was my least favorite part. Anyways. All right, well, let's get into it then. Sweet.
Did you introduce yourself too?
Oh, no. But he introduced me.
Yeah.
All's good.
What about like what's next or something like that?
True.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there is a what's next yet.
Yeah, let's just, I like focusing on just the production of the album.
Yeah. It's cool.
If you could, any of the equipment that you
Oh, that's a good
That's
question.
a good question.
Great question.
You're smart. If you could keep any of the gear in here, what would it be?
I'd be strapping that Neve to the roof of my Oldsmobile Aurora
you
and
wanna
driving
take the
down
Neve
Portage Avenue.
I would either be I'd be taking this Studer tape setup home pretty quick, but I also love these Coil Audio things. Shout out to Coil Audio, sponsor me, please. Please? Please.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's like a general theme for you?
Good question. Do I feel like there's a general theme?
General theme.
Thank you for your service. Yeah, I feel like I feel like all my songs end up having this maybe like lens of nostalgia to some degree, but I feel like this record is like, it kind of feels like it's like very like future optimistic, hopeful, mixed with that nostalgia, which makes it feel maybe less. It doesn't feel sad. This record doesn't feel sad to me, even though there's wistful songs. It doesn't feel like a sad record to me.
I agree, and you know, like an adjective that comes to mind for me, and I don't know if this is weird or not, but it's like sometimes some of the songs feel a little bit boyish in their like enthusiasm or optimism, but obviously with the lens of like
Jaded
you know,
age.
yes, your cynical self. So
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of and I think that maybe that came from like having, like have been a guitar player first for so many years, and then getting instruments where I felt like I was a kid in my room again, like literally.
Right.
And also writing songs that are loops, so sometimes the harmony would be harmony I would never play on
Right.
my guitar, and so there's maybe that is part of that like childish exploration, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
there's like
the
a
word.
sense of playfulness
Yeah.
to it, which is really cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
I have another question.
Sure.
Did you have any songs that you wrote that you didn't include? Or do you always feel like you write the amount of songs that end up being on the record? I don't know how to phrase that in a nice way. So you can...
I remember there were a few songs that you had sent me that didn't make it onto this album, for sure.
Yeah,
And
there's one that song "Another Way to Be" that you and I had worked on.
that's right.
Yeah.
And there was another one about the city being quiet, kind of a pandemic-related tune. But I just remember
Yeah.
in the song club there were some extra tunes, and
sure.
even there was a few tunes before Friends on the Internet that seemed like they were going to be a part of something new
It's true. Yeah,
that ended up being too Americana sounding for the album.
yeah. There's still one song that lives on the files on my iPhone that I listen to when I'm on a plane.
Ah,
and it makes me feel something, and I think one day I'll cut it.
what song?
It's like the drum. It's like I played the drum loop and I looped it. It's kind of like Leaf Fullabecky. It's like,
Oh, I remember that one.
yeah,
True.
I still love that song. And so I think maybe one day I'll maybe just do like a live version of it or something. But,
That'd be cool.
But for the most part, I'm like not like I mean, we were talking about this last night, how Daniel Romano and has like, I know, I feel like there's similarities with Bob Dylan where she's like writes a ton of songs.
Yeah.
Like you said, he put 3 records out
Yeah.
in
yeah.
1 year. It's like, I'm lucky if I get 10. Not in a year,
Well,
but like,
Yeah, there's more than that in a year. That's
but like I'm working for the 10 songs.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
right. Well, I mean, yeah, when you said you hadn't written a song in 2 months and then you sent me Lucky, I was like, well, I guess that's fine then. Because that's a damn good song. Anyways.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm wondering how many espressos went into the making of this album.
Oh my God. How many espressos did we drink making this record? Because Liam got an espresso machine in his studio,
That's true. I got an espresso machine in my studio, then you got one in the kitchen.
and I got one at my
as well.
place, and then Dylan had one.
Yeah.
So we were like pretty hopped up on espresso.
I don't know.
Probably like what, 400?
400?
400 espressos.
Yeah.
420.
420 espressos.
There was 420 espressos and
How many
double-
spliffs were smoked
at
in
least,
the production
At least
of this?
another 420. I alone definitely cranked that number up quite
Let's call it
considerably.
840.
Yeah. Oof. Don't like thinking about that.
I love it.
How many guitar solos are on this record?
4.
4?
Yeah.
It's low.
That's low.
It's a
for
low
Kris Ulrich
number.
album.
Ah.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I bought a Prophet synthesizer, and I'd say that was like that honestly dictated a lot of the sounds on the record for me, because I would just write with these pads, you
Yeah.
know, and I feel like those pads just instantly put me into a certain mood, and then everything else, because often the pads are quite static, so the harmony could like really move around it.
Yeah.
And so that really dictated it for sure, yeah.
For me, though, coming in with like an appreciation for the 4 songs that you had done without me, and then coming in for the rest of the tracks, still, your guitar playing is so melodic and so just sounds like you to me. It's like there's still plenty of guitar on the album. I couldn't do without it. Like it's so great.
Yeah.
And maybe even the acoustic guitar is also a pretty important, like some of my favorite acoustic guitar sounds on this record, especially the stuff that got all messed up with that cassette thing.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of it was just DI'd acoustic.
I know, it's crazy.
So
It
I'd just be
sounds
like,
cool.
I'd make the demo, I'd have the drum loop and the bass part going in the synth, and I was just like, it would be like 11 o'clock at night, and I didn't feel like setting up a microphone, so I just DI and played it. And,
Right.
And we
Just
kept
left it.
those.
Yeah, we just kept it. Anyways,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good question.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. I think
Okay,
that's gonna get
we're
you
gonna
lots
run. Now we're gonna run
Yeah,
the 2-track back into Pro Tools,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
yeah. Speaking of spliffs, I'm gonna have one before I do that.
Yes. Great.
Cut.